Okay, here is your tutorial for the double exposure portrait project in Pixlr. So when you open up Pixlr, this is what it's going to look like. Make sure at the top right hand corner here that you are logged in. If you are not, there'll be a little login button for you to sign in. And then once you are signed in from this page, you are just going to click Open Image. And then this is after you have found your portrait image and your landscape or cityscape image and you have them saved. So mine are in a folder on my desktop. Yours might be in your downloads folder. Wherever you have them saved, you're just going to go there and then choose your portrait image first. Click Open. It's going to automatically choose Full HD. That's what we want, so just click Apply. And then it's going to open up your image. The very first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to unlock this layer. So you can see on this right-hand side, there are a few different panels. The first one is Navigate. So this is where you can zoom in, zoom out, and see where you're focused on in your image. The second one is the Layers panel. This will show you all of the layers you have open. So we just have one right now and it's locked. So we want to unlock it. If you see this little padlock icon, you're just going to double click it and then it's unlocked. You're good to go. And then down here is your history panel. This will show you everything that you have done. It's just going to keep track of all the tools you use. All right, so once my layer is unlocked, I want to erase all of my background, just leaving the silhouette of my portrait. So I have my eraser tool selected, and this is a free photo editor, so some ads might pop up at the bottom from time to time. You can just exit out and get rid of them as they pop up. And then I'm going to bump up the size of my brush to get rid of the background pretty quickly. So I'm going to start off in one corner. I'm going to get rid of all of the background I can with this big brush. And then I'm going to go back in with a smaller brush and get more of the details. So I'm going to go all the way around, get rid of all of this background. And I want to make sure that I'm only getting rid of the background and not interfering with the shape of the portrait. Okay, so once I've gotten rid of all that I can with this, see how I went a little bit too far on the nose there? I'm just going to click Edit and Undo. You can also see the shortcut of anything that you have to choose in here. So you can click Edit, Undo, or you can do the shortcut on your keyboard. Okay, so I am going to bump down the size of this brush and get more detailed. So I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to make my brush size smaller. And then I'm going to go and zoom in. And then I'm zooming in, and you can see this red box is getting smaller. That's where I'm focused, so I can move this around to wherever I want. So I'm going to start on this left-hand side of the portrait, and I'm going to work my way around to get rid of all of the extra background. So I'm going to do this pretty quickly for time's sake so we can get through this. But when you're doing it, make sure you're really taking your time and you're getting a nice, crisp portrait image. So I'm going to go all the way around. I'm just going to roughly do this really quick. And I'm going to go around my whole image and do the same thing. Get rid of all of this extra background. And I can use these scroll bars at the sides, or I can just click on that red box in my navigate panel and I can move around that way. Okay. Let me finish getting rid of this and then we will move on to the next step. And again, when you're doing this step, take your time, make sure you are only getting rid of what you want. You can always change the size of your brush and really get into those detailed spots. All right, so once we erase the whole background, I'm going to zoom back out. And we need to add a new layer. So we're going to create basically an all white background by clicking this little plus sign down here in our layers panel. You're going to click empty. You're going to choose your paint bucket or your fill bucket tool. And then I want this color to be white. And I'm just going to click. And that has filled this whole layer with that color. So I'm just going to go over to my layers panel and I'm going to drag my background in front of that new layer. And now you can really see where I could have been a lot more detailed with my eraser tool. So make sure you're taking your time on that step and really doing a good job. Okay, so once I have put that new background in with that new layer, if I see any extra, I can go back with my eraser tool. Like if I've forgotten a piece, you can go back and still erase. And then we are going to now add the landscape image. So you're going to click the plus button again. You're going to click image. Then you're going to choose whatever image you have for the landscape or cityscape. So that's added another layer on top of what we've already made. So we want Pixlr to place this image inside of our portrait image. So what we're going to do is we are going to click these three little dots next to the landscape image layer. And you're going to choose out of the blend mode dropdown, you're going to click overlay. And then you can play with the transparency of this layer. So see how you can see much more of it and then a lot less of it. And then you can also do this on your portrait layer. So click those three dots and you can change the transparency to see more or less. So I think that looks pretty good. I can see a fair amount of my portrait and of my landscape, which I like. So you're going to play with the transparency on both of those layers. And after you have done that, you can also move this layer around. So like say I want to see more of a particular spot, you can just move it around or resize it to make it fit with your portrait image. All right, after we have done that, we are going to add one more layer to really bring things together. So right now it's just like a really bright white background. And instead I want to add another layer that kind of adds a color that brings everything together. So I'm going to add an empty layer. Again, I'm going to grab my fill bucket tool. This time I'm going to choose a color that complements both of my images. So I'm going to choose like a purplish color and click OK. I'm going to click on my image and it's going to, again, fill that whole layer with that image. But just like we did with the other layers, we are going to bring the transparency down so that it just looks like a filter over top. Then you can also play with the blend mode on this layer and see what you like. So if you like one over the other, or if you want to keep this at none and just play with the transparency, you can do that as well. Okay, so once I get all of my settings looking how I want them to, I'm going to exit out of this. So I have 4 total layers. I have the layer I started with. I added my white background. I added the landscape layer, and then I added a transparent filter over top of the whole image so that it really brought everything together. After I'm completely finished, I am going to click File, and I'm going to click Save. And then up in File Name, I'm going to put my last name and then my first name. And then I'm going to click Download. So it's going to take a minute or two, and it's going to download directly into your Downloads folder. And then from here, you can upload it directly to Schoology. So you'll just go to Schoology, you'll click this link, and you'll submit it just like every other project. All right, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a message or ask me during the Google Meets. All right, I'll see you guys later.